The Lambda function can be a really interesting and useful tool in your personal repertoire because it allows you to create any custom function you want in Microsoft Excel. All you have to do is use the Lambda function to define what it is that would happen, and then you can reuse that function based on its name. And the way the Lambda function works is you put in =lambda, and then you put in any arguments that you think your calculation needs, and then finish it up with whatever the calculation is that you want it to execute. Now, I'm going to give an example in this video for something called BOMONTH. So why would I want a BOMONTH function? There is already a function in Excel called EOMONTH, where EO stands for end of, right? So if you said, hey, this invoice went out in October, let's say on October 3rd, then you might want to calculate the end of October as being October 31st. So that's why Excel has an EOMONTH function. It takes in whatever the starting date is and whatever number of months into the future you want to go happens to be. But they don't have a beginning of the month function for, hey, could you find me the first of a given month? Like in this situation right here. If you take April 22nd and you say, go out 6 months into the future and find me the first of the month, there isn't a function in Excel to accomplish that. But we can use the EOMONTH function, the end of month function, to get us there. How would we make that happen? What we do is we say, okay, the EOMONTH function takes in the starting date and the number of months, and then it finds the end of that month. If we want to find the beginning of the month is, of course, 1 day past the end of the previous month. So if we take the number of months that you put into the EOMONTH function and we subtract 1 from it, right? If instead of going all the way into October, we stop at September, then from September 30th, we can go forward 1 day. So +1 goes forward 1 day from September 30th to October 1st. So anytime somebody needs a beginning of the month function, this is the sort of thing they make for themselves. They use EOMONTH with the starting date and the number of months, but they do -1 from the number of months, so they stop short of the right month, and then they go +1 to move into the next month. So we could make this with the Lambda function, and this is the logic that we're about to use. We're about to create a function that types in =lambda. We take in from the user of this function a start date and a number of months, and then after the comma, after the number of months, we then build the calculation with EOMONTH using the same start date that we used before, using the same months that we used before, but using the -1 to stop 1 month short and the +1 to move 1 day into the future. Let's see it in action. So again, over here on the left, this is a very easy situation. If we want to know what the end of the month is from any given invoice, we type in $EOMONTH. We click on this as the starting date. And then after the comma, we put in how many months into the future we want to go. If I type in a 0, for example, and I close the parentheses, it will go to the end of April. Let's go ahead and format that accordingly. So there from April 7th, it goes to April 30th, and we can see all the same calculations using EOMONTH. So how would the Lambda function work? What we need to do is we need to take this understood calculation right here and put it into a named range. We go up to the Formulas tab at the top of the screen. We click onto the Name Manager button up here at the top of the screen, and using the Name Manager, we click the New button to make a new item, and this we're going to call BOMONTH, so that it looks exactly like the function for EOMONTH, and everybody understands that they go together. Now, in the refers to field, what we need to do now is add whatever we think our calculation needs to be. So again, we define this by using the LAMBDA function and opening the parentheses. And now whatever we type in next is what people are going to see when they're filling this function out. So I'm going to type it in as capital S start, capital D date. I'm not allowed to use spaces here. I could also use an underscore to make start and date separate from one another. Then after a comma, the word months, I'll also use a capital letter there. And then after another comma, now it's time for us to define the calculation. So I'm going to type in EOMONTH, open the parentheses, and I need to make sure that I put in the exact same arguments, start date and month, that I defined earlier. Start date, comma, months. Oh, it's months. Let me go back here and change this to an S so that it's easy for people to understand. So months and months. And then we do a little -1 here, close the parentheses, and then +1 to move it 1 day into the future. And then I close the parentheses. And I click OK and click close. And now if I type in $BOMONTH, there it is. The BOMONTH function takes the start date and the number of months, and we need to figure out when we're going to check these things. Let's say that we're going to check them 3 months in the future, and we're always on the first of the month making a list of the inventory items we need to check. So I'm going to click on this as the starting date, and then after a comma, go 3 days into the future and close the parentheses. So in other words, if I last checked on this item on January 18th of 2025, I want you to go to the first of the month 3 months in the future. So 3 months in the future would be April, and we want to make sure that we get a list of everything we need to check on April 1st. So hopefully this calculation gives us April 1st. I hit enter on my keyboard. I format that value right there, and there it is, April 1st. So again here, starting from November, if we go from November, forward 3 months goes to February, and it's the 1st of February.